All right, this is your Tuesday daily delivery, a day later than usual of Patrick Reusse. I'm Michael Rand. Had the long weekend in our house, Patrick. This means back to school today. Some other districts have started a week or so earlier, but here in Minneapolis, we start right after Labor Day. It's an exciting day. Going to clear out some of the noise in the house a little bit later, but right now it was a great summer. Had lots of fun. All that, had a fun weekend too. But Patrick, hope you had a good one as well.
Yeah, it was. I ran down to Faribault yesterday, and I didn't write anything on it, but I watched the Buckman Billy Goats play the Nisswa Lightning for the Class C title. Two teams from the same league, the Victory League, which is a 20-team league up by Brainerd and Little Falls in that area, and they got the system there where the C teams play 4 games on the last weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or some will play Friday, but mostly it's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. The teams and they're out of pitching, so a tendency is to have a lot of hitting. So Nisswa won 12-3. But Terry Reavers, Chris Reavers, was one of the big shots running the tournament down there. The guy I worked with at Hubbard. And they also gave out a beer trophy to the teams that bought Terry Reavers ran the beer cave down there. And when you bought a beer, you said which team you were rooting for, right?
Yeah.
So Buckman did win the beer trophy for the most beer consumed by their fans. So they had that as a consolation prize. Now, the Watertown Red Devils were there Sunday. They had 2 games, and they had 737 beers consumed. So they set the record for the tournament. But only $4 down there for a beer, baby. This ain't Target Field. So anyway, yeah, I went down there, and that's about all the sports I was involved in over the weekend. So I did go up to St. John's on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a football game. St. John's beat mighty Whitewater. 12,000 people up there to watch a Division III football game on Labor Day weekend. School started at St. Ben's and St. John's a week ago, so they did have the students there. And but it was the perfect day for college football. Day Saturday, it was fantastic. So that was my sportsy weekend and watching pretty much as little of the Twins as I possibly could. So that was another thing.
Well, that's good. Our mutual friend Tom Lemon was the honorary captain
Yes,
in
he was.
St. John's game. That was cool for him, and so I'm glad you could make it up to that, and glad you could avoid the Twins because there wasn't much. It was a weird weekend, right? Because they were, they went into like Thursday last week, like a game and a half behind Cleveland. And the Twins were off, I think, Thursday. Cleveland loses, and then the Twins lose Friday and Saturday. But so does Cleveland. Twins managed to win Sunday. Cleveland loses again. So the Twins played, quite poorly. They almost got no hit on Saturday. Yes. Came within an out of getting no hit by Dylan Cease, and still managed to find themselves in the tie for the division lead at the end of Sunday. Now that evaporated Monday when they lost predictably to the Yankees, and Cleveland managed to break their own streak. I think they won in extra innings over the Royals, but yeah, it was. No one is running. No one is going anywhere in this division. They're all just stuck in the mud. But I guess the upshot of the weekend was Chicago now finds itself back in the mix. They're only a game out and certainly have the best team of the 3, don't they?
Yes, they do. But boy, they played some bad baseball all during the year. And, the Twins messing up that game Friday night. What a mess that game was.
Oh, yeah.
And, they just did some idiotic things. The one that drove me nuts was you got this, the catcher, slowest guy in the history of man, the left-handed hitting.
Sandy Leon?
No, the other guy for the White Sox.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Paying all the money. What's that? I don't know. This guy's the slowest guy in the world. You got a one-man left side of the infield, and they're playing him up like this guy's going to bunt. He could bunt and he could run in from left field and throw him out. And so they got him playing up as and in normal third base position. He's the only guy on the left side of the infield, and that's when they hit that little pop up that he couldn't catch. He should have been playing shortstop. If you're going to have the one side of the infield, and and then Sanchez boxed the ball, and they gave that game away. That guy cannot catch.
No.
I mean, they're stuck catching him, but. Losing Jeffers hurt this team a lot. Even if he was hitting 190, I mean, he was a real catcher. He's not a great catcher, but he's a real catcher. Sanchez is a butcher, and Sandy Leon is automatic out. So it's that was just a terrible loss. And I don't know. The odds of them winning one game in New York are about 20%. So they're going to come all tied. There's a very much likelihood they're going to be an even 500 when they get home on Friday. And as you pointed out when we were talking, only in this division could we even be talking about this team being anywhere of contention. I mean, it's in the wild card. They got to be 5-6 games out in the wild card. I mean,
maybe even a little bit more, because all those other teams have like 75 wins at least, because Seattle's been hot and the Rays and Jays have pulled away a little bit.
Baltimore, which is fourth in the East, would be running away with the Central. So
they would be leading the Central, yeah.
MGM Wine and Spirits is the choice for savings, service, and a great selection of spirits, premixed cocktails, wines, and of course, ice-cold beers and hard seltzers. With over 30 locations throughout the Twin Cities and beyond, there's an MGM near you. Head to mgmwineandspirits.com to find a convenient location in your area. Get social. Follow MGM on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest news and trends. Make great moments with MGM Wine and Spirits, your locally owned and operated choice for over 50 years. Save time, save money. Shop MGM.
This lineup, I mean, they got their 6th, 7th, and 8th best outfielders playing. I mean, Kepler's terrible. He can't sustain being anything but an automatic out more than 2 games in a row. And the other 2 guys are not, should be not playing for you. Celestino is not ready as a hitter. You got to play him in center field. And then Jake Cave and Kyle Garlick and guys like that, they're missing their whole outfield. If the season had gone as planned, I think Larnach, Kirilloff, and Buxton would have been your outfield. Larnach and for Kirilloff for sure. That guy can hit, and he's done for the year and maybe life. And I don't know. And then when Plaka's out of lineup,
yeah,
real trouble, man. I mean, their lineup is too deep. Arraez and Correa. That's it.
Maybe Miranda. Yeah.
Well, Miranda. Yeah, Miranda's okay. He's a little cool compared to what he was, but yeah, he's still dangerous.
He leads them in RBIs. You notice? Do you see that?
Oh yeah. He's
when did he come up? Like middle of May, or when did he start playing regularly?
And then he didn't hit for a month.
Right.
When he first came up, he was terrible, and then he finally got more aggressive, and yeah, he does. He has been very good in the clutch, and Correa had been terrible in the clutch until about a week ago. I mean, him coming a little bit to life is the one thing that gave him a little bit of a safety net to jump into. But yeah, there's not good enough. And now Malley's shut down. Louis Barlin, North St. Paul rookie, kid from North St. Paul, is going to start on Wednesday in New York. He's the guy they're calling up from St. Paul. So that'll be interesting. I mean, the kid's got a live arm. He's been really good a couple of times in St. Paul and not so good a couple other times or one other time. But he was their minor league pitcher of the year last year, and comes from quite the pitching family in North St. Paul. His brother's signed, but his 2 sisters were softball phenoms. One of them was our Metro. I think Susie was our Metro pitcher, Metro player of the year in softball, and so they they were identified previously as as the Varland sisters, the brothers of the Varland sisters back when they were kids.
Sure.
So that'll be fun to see. Hopefully, he'll get through a few innings and give him a little something. But I guess they just didn't want to throw Aaron Sanchez out there against the Yankees. They might as well give this kid a try and see if we can get him to the finish line, because we're not going to see that Malley again this year. So
no. Well, and you got to worry too. I mean, does Sonny Gray going to make his next start? We'll see about that. But
pushed it back to Thursday. That didn't look like much of a pull to me, but I don't know. Who knows? It's if it can go wrong with this rotation, it will. That's for sure.
Well, like you mentioned, like I mentioned to you at the beginning, I didn't give you the specifics, but still in this race, just basically by, they're over 500. Fine. They're probably got, the 15th or 16th best record in the majors, but any other division in baseball, Patrick, they would be trailing by double digits. Here's the rundown.
Yeah.
AL East, they'd be trailing by 12 games to the Yankees. AL West, 18 games behind the Astros. NL East, 16 games behind the Mets. NL Central, 10 games behind the Cardinals. NL West, 24 games behind the Dodgers. I mean, it's again, you can only, it's the division they're in that you can't, you take what you've got. You can't play a different schedule than the one you have, but maybe that helps kind of explain why, while people are intrigued a little bit by this kind of playoff race, playoff push, it's still like people still are not fully in. A lot of people still aren't fully invested. No. The casuals are not fully invested in this team right now.
No, they haven't drawn real well, and they've had, they haven't been terrible, but it hasn't been good. And it's hey, Mike, what if this was next year and those teams were all playing each other 13 times instead of 9? What would the leader in this division be? 8 games under 500.
Yeah,
if they weren't playing, if you hadn't had a chance to play Kansas City and Detroit 19 times before the year is over, what would your record be? So I've never seen baseball as far as the good teams, the discrepancy between good teams and mediocre teams and terrible teams is I know people who have salary cap, they complain, but you still got the case of Tampa Bay spending $60 million, and they would have, if the ump would have given them a chance on strike 3 the other night, they could have swept the Yankees, and they're still hanging in there. But it's when the Twins go play the Astros, they have zero chance to win when they go play the Yankees. The Yankees have been playing terrible. They haven't been hitting, and they're still going to probably sweep them in all likelihood. I mean, tonight you got Garrett Cole pitching against who's the
Joe Ryan. Joe Ryan.
Yeah, Joe Ryan's been okay. He's been okay. He's won some games, but he's acceptable. But right now, he's your ace right now with Malley out, and I had hope for him, but they got Paddock. He lasted 5 games. They got Malley later on in the season, made a pretty Cincinnati. They really overpaid for him, a lot of people think. And they gave that Spencer Steer and some other guys in Cincinnati. And he lasted, 4? No, he didn't last 4. He got shut down, and then he came back for 1 and lasted 2 innings. So
right.
They've managed to trade for damaged goods twice to make their big pitchers move. So anyway, the only consistent guy they've had is Emilio Pagan. Really, he's pretty good, because he's going to give up a home run. That's pretty good. So, Probus was going on it again yesterday. I think the bullpen's now given up 72 or 73 home runs, second most in major league, second most in major leagues. So the long ball bullpen. Now, the bullpen's in much better shape than it was, but it's really irrelevant whether they make the postseason or not, because they aren't going to do anything. And the only thing is, there's a dang good chance that the losing streak in the playoffs will be 20, because we'll have to be reminded of that. The odds of them winning a game in the playoffs are virtually nil.
Well, if they got to the playoffs, though, they'd have all three of those games at home, and it would be against like Toronto, Tampa Bay, or Seattle. I feel like they could take one or two in that.
Yeah.
There's no chance. There's no chance they're going anywhere beyond that series. But the way the playoffs are structured, they at least would have a chance in the first round, I think. But yeah, this team's not going anywhere beyond that. They were not that great to begin with, and then you just look at the list of the injuries. I think one of the games this weekend they put up the list of all the players that are out, and it's just absurd how many of their top guys they're missing at this point. I mean, do you think we see Buxton when are we going to see Buxton again? Do you think we'll see him this year?
But here's this. They do some of the stupidest things of all time. You're last in the league in stolen bases for the fourth straight year. And all of a sudden you need Billy Hamilton. What is that about? The guy hasn't had a hit in 5 years. He's terrible. He's a slap hitter. He couldn't he couldn't have played in that game I saw yesterday in Faribault. He'd be the 12th best hitter on the field in Faribault. What is he there for? What did they sign this clown for? And then the first time they said they can't wait to rush him in to have him try to steal third, and they throw him out.
Yeah.
The other night. It's ridiculous. What is he doing here? He's not going to play. All of a sudden, we're going to get Rocco a pinch runner when they try to steal one base a month. It's stupid. It's just stupid. It's just. I mean, I have no idea whose idea this was. He hasn't played yet. So, and he's hit every place he's been the last 3 years, he's hit 200.
Yeah.
I don't know. They get some brainstorms, man. I can't imagine that even though he's not going to say anything and he's pretty, behind the scenes, Jim Pohlad can't be happy with what he sees going on here right now.
No,
that they're spending money to trade for pitchers that can't make more than 2 starts, and their medicals are terrible. They can't keep anybody on the field. It's an organization that definitely needs a review after this season.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, the only thing that's really keeping this from being more of a disaster is the wrong word again, because they're in a pennant race. But the only thing that's keeping this from being more glaring, all these problems being more glaring, is that they are still competing because of their division by and large. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, they've got the Yankees for 3 more now, and then they kind of start that gamut where they've got 8 or 9 against Cleveland, right?
Yes, and Cleveland's no good. I mean, they got decent pitching, but then Plesac's kid punched a wall.
Right. No, he punched the dirt. He punched the
dirt. Yeah, well, whatever. I know he punched something. He broke a finger.
Gave up a home run the other day, and he was so mad he punched the ground afterwards, and that's where they think he broke his hand.
What a dummy. And then Savali, he's got a bad shoulder, so they're missing 2 of their 5 starters. So, which they still have a better rotation than the Twins, but missing 2 starters at this time of year is not good. And I watched them a couple nights ago, and that Stefan, who was throwing great earlier this year, one of the earlier, they worn him out. He couldn't, he was down about 5 miles an hour, it looked to me. And the guy I worry about every time he pitches, Duran.
Yeah.
What if something would happen to him? I mean, he's the pitcher of the year for that team for sure.
Easily. Yeah.
I mean, he is unhittable. And, but you look at the number of innings he's pitched in his career before this year. You're getting out there at the end of the envelope right now. You don't have any hope, but you don't have any option, but you just, guy throwing that many 100-mile-an-hour pitches, you got to worry about that shoulder. So
100-mile-an-hour off-speed pitches.
That's unbelievable. That splitty thing he throws is maybe the most unhittable pitch of all time. So I don't even know if they've made full advantage of him. Have you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he doesn't have a save. I mean, that's one, I mean, obviously top relievers are deployed in different ways now than they used to be, but wouldn't bother me one bit to see him pitch a ninth inning sometime. That's for sure.
No, wouldn't either. No, because Lopez, I got to admit, I was all in on Lopez, and I don't know, maybe he's hitting the wall too, but his stuff he certainly hasn't gone after the hitters like he did when he was with Baltimore. He's been screwing around a lot. It looks to me like they got him throwing a lot more breaking balls. I don't know, but
Twins way, breaking balls, baby. It's a slider. It's a slider country.
Yes, it is. We should say something nice about Dylan Bundy. Dylan Bundy's out there battling his rear end off. Looks like his head's going to explode. He's so red in the face when he's pitching, but he's been really good, considering that they have no confidence in him whatsoever. Every time he goes out to pitch, they tell him, we don't really think you're going to get him out, and we're going to pull you after 5 no matter what. The other day, once again, 67 pitches, 68 pitches, something like that.
5 innings, 2 hits, no runs. Yeah.
He's been really good. And for 6 weeks, probably.
Yeah.
He's been really good. And he had that bad stretch. He was really good, and then he had a bad stretch. But he's been, he has been an asset.
Yes.
People don't, because they remember those 3-4 clunkers he had, but he's been good, and they don't let him be as good as he probably could be.
I counted him up the other day because I was curious, because I thought we would probably talk about it. I think I counted 10 starts for Dylan Bundy this year of, it was either 5 or 5 1/3 innings and 2 or fewer earned runs. So I mean, and again, it does seem, as much as we gripe about the quick hooks, it does seem like whenever they do let some of these guys go a little bit longer, there are a lot of occasions where it has backfired or they've given up runs. But what doesn't make sense to me is, if Dylan Bundy you've got a plan for Bundy as a 5-inning guy, and your plan for Chris Archer is sometimes less than 5 innings, why are those guys always back to back in the rotation? I know, I know you got a bottom of the rotation, but after 5 games, the top and bottom of your rotation doesn't even matter that much, does it? I mean, it's why do you put so much stress on your bullpen by having 2 guys who are automatic hooks after 5 innings or less back to back?
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff they do that I don't get it. But go get him, Louis Barlin. That'll be fun to watch. So Wednesday, North St. Paul. I don't know if we've had a big league pitcher from North St. Paul since a kid named Don Arlick, which had to be in the 60s, I believe. And he was a first rounder for maybe Houston. It was originally. Okay. He was a legend around here of high school pitching, Don Arlick, and I think Barlin might be the first guy from there since. So
wow,
and a proud graduate of Concordia, the St. Paul Concordia. So
okay, I'm looking forward to that. That's something to watch on Wednesday. That definitely shows. He's earned it. He's been very good, but it also shows where their pitching depth is at with all the injuries they've had.
Yeah, I think he's only 22, so maybe 23. But you did not anticipate this as a year where he'd pitch in the big leagues.
No.
In Yankee Stadium.
No.
But I'd rather run him out there in Yankee Stadium to Wednesday than Randy Dominic in Game 2 of a playoff series. I still never gotten over that one. So
yeah, and you know what? I was on team Dobnik for Game 2, and then who was it? Odorizzi, push him back to Game 3 because that gives you a better chance to win the series. And I don't know if I might like to go back and rethink that one.
Yeah, well, my theory was, Randy, instead of throwing a sinker over the middle of the plate and getting away with it, was going to have to start finessing him. And anyway, he's back pitching. The finger is okay. He's back pitching once in a while. So we might not have seen the end of Randy, since we locked him up for 4 or 5 years there.
Right.
So anyway, it's been a disappointing season. Once they signed Correa, I think we became more optimistic.
Yes.
But they've just been too banged up and had too many goofy players coming and going that to be taken real seriously.
Patrick, we're 5 days from Vikings Packers. Let's talk a little Vikings before we get out of here. I don't know. I still think this is probably a 7 or 8 win team, but like we've talked about plenty, we don't really know. But what's been interesting in this kind of time between the final preseason game and now is how much of it, like counting the Nick Mullins move, like Kwesi Adofo-Mensah made like 4 trades in like a 10-day span. They must hate the bottom of their roster. They must hate their depth, and probably for good reason, because they didn't have a lot of it left. And probably most of those guys shouldn't matter at the end, but I don't know. The depth is still the thing that worries me the most. Maybe not in week 1, but by week 9 or 10.
Yeah, and you're going to lose. I always say you're going to lose 2 starters to injuries, right? And then it becomes, is that it? Are you going to lose 1 or 2, or are you going to lose 6? If all of a sudden, if you start getting bagged up here, there, and everywhere, then you're going to have a lousy year. I do like their first team. I think their first team is pretty good, and the offensive line's better than it's been, especially if this Ingram can play right guard. I mean, everybody's worried about Bradbury, but he's. Having one weak spot on an offensive line for the Vikings would be an improvement by at least 2, right?
Yeah, they used to have one good spot. I mean,
yeah,
there's been years
that would be an improvement to say the least. So that's that's not bad. Herb Smith, they're really thin at tight end. He's got to play, and got to play and stay healthy, and he hasn't been able to do that, but he gives him a weapon. I don't think we have any idea what this new offense looks like. Anyway, Cousins didn't play. They didn't do anything in the exhibition games. And I think because of the way teams play now, getting prepared for the season, they try to give you less information about their teams than they ever have. They want you to just believe in them, that what they're doing, but they don't really show you anything about what kind of a team they had. And it's, I guess that's mystery is one of the things that makes the NFL so popular, I guess. But I think over in Green Bay, they must be wondering what they have too, right? They think they got a terrific defense. We'll find out, I guess. But I saw that the receivers, couple of Rogers receivers, the Watson kid from North Dakota State, and then they got another guy who might not play. So they don't have any receivers. I think I like the Vikings offensively. First team, pretty damn good if they're healthy and what they think they are, and then the defense. Who knows? New 3-4.
Right.
One thing about this 3-4 is you end up basically having to play 2 interior guys instead of 3, or 3 instead of 2, right? And they've been short in there for a long time. So, what do you do with Hunter and Smith? Is that the fact that they're playing linebacker more than defensive end now? Is that going to make them better or worse? Or
I don't know.
I don't know. Who knows?
I don't think Hunter's covered a lot of tight ends over the middle in his career.
No, and he shouldn't. But I think also the big deal about the 3-4. Well, that's the basic how you start. You go into a nickel. If it's 2nd and 8, you switch the whole defense anyway, right? So it's I don't know. We'll see. Both the new defensive backs, Sign and Booth, got banged up, so we don't know if they're ready to play or not. So we just don't know much about the team, and I will think that that it's a great curiosity. And by Sunday, it'll be the Packers and the Vikings. But right now, I don't, because of Labor Day and summer and the whole thing. And I haven't sensed the usual craziness for it. And I think taking that extra week off at the end of exhibition games instead of cutting your team right away and then boom, here we go, let's go.
Right.
Get that extra week off, you kind of lose a little bit of track of them. But then football has never been more popular in this country and never been more dominant of the sports scene than it is right now. So I'm sure by Sunday we'll be crazy for it.
I would think so. With the depth, I just keep thinking outside of running back, I can't think of one position where I would say, okay, someone got hurt, but it's not the end of the world. You got somebody behind them that you would feel the drop off wasn't dramatic. Even a running back, Dalvin Cook's certainly better than the guys they've got, but they've got, Madison to show that he's pretty good. And some of these other young guys like Chandler played pretty well in the preseason, some of these other guys, but the quarterback, obviously that's, most teams would say, unless you kind of got like a quarterback competition where the guys are even, if you get a clear cut starter, the drop off is going to be huge. Offensive line though, you lose either of those tackles and the next guy up sounds like it's Blake Brandel, maybe.
I never heard of him.
Right. I mean,
I haven't looked at their roster. I've never heard of Blake Brandel, and I don't know where he came from. So,
tight end, they're extremely thin. Even if Irv Smith can stay on the field, receiver, I mean, they're okay, but you lose Jefferson or Thielen, and that's a pretty dramatic drop off. You go to defense. I mean, it's just like we've talked about, and like I've written plenty of times, like their best 10 or 15 players are about as good as any other team's best 10 or 15 players. But after that, that's the thing that they've got to rebuild over these years, because you just can't go into every year thinking, yeah, we like the first team, but beyond that, it's going to be pretty shaky. Because like you said, like there's going to be injuries every single year. This is an extremely violent, difficult sport. You know, hoping to stay healthy is not a plan. So that's what they got to fix long term beyond what they're doing right now.
I got one other point I want to make about football.
Okay.
We got the big shakeup taking place in college football. We've never seen, I can't remember anything in American sports that is making such a dramatic change as this is. You know, I mean,
that's fast too. Yeah.
Phenomenal in this term. And if the one thing we get out of this is no more home games with Western Illinois and New Mexico State, then I'm all in favor of it. What are we doing? Why are we charging people to come and see the worst team in the Missouri Valley, basically Division II, FCS? You're the second level college football. You're paying because you're so damn cheap, you don't want to pay a full amount of money to like one of these teams to come here, and you probably getting them in here for 300,000 or something instead of the 600,000 they're paying other FBS teams. What did you're playing Western Illinois, which North Dakota State will be favored by 35 points against? Why are you doing this? It's so stupid. And they want you people to go over there and pay money to watch this crap. What is the reason for it? There's no reason to be playing Western Illinois. And, it's New Mexico State was bad enough. At least they're a FBS team, for God's sakes.
Right.
You're going to the bottom of the Missouri Valley Conference to find your non-conference opponent. It's ridiculous. If you're going to do that, play North Dakota State. Come on, let's go.
I agree.
It's ridiculous that they're charging money to people to play these games.
But we'll have.
I said this a couple of weeks ago. The teams, college teams, the rest of them, they no longer care about their customers. The customers. Exhibition football in the NFL.
Yes.
Baseball, go to the ball game Sunday afternoon, no Correa, Buxton, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares about their customers anymore. The hell with you is basically what they're saying. maybe soccer. They still pretty much, although Heath gave a game away out in Salt Lake a week ago, just for the giggles, he gave the game away. But they don't care about you, people. They don't care about you. They, you go to the game, show up, but NBA, who's going to play tonight? Okay, well, yes, LeBron was supposed to be here tonight, but we decided to give him 2 games off.
Give him a rest. Yeah.
So those tickets you just paid $180 for, you're not going to get to see them. It's the way they treat their customers now, as far as giving you their attraction, is ridiculous.
Yeah. Loons, by the way, a couple of 3-0 losses in their last 2, including that aforementioned match in Salt Lake where they didn't travel a lot of their best guys, including Reynoso. So that's gone sideways a little bit. We'll see if they can turn that around. But good point about, you're right. I like the larger point about it is all about the maintenance of the team. It's all about the team, less about the fans now, because the investments are so big. And, so much less emphasis placed on the revenue generated by your attendance now. I mean, some sports still need it. Hockey still needs it. Soccer still needs it. But something that like basketball, football, all they want is the TV money. And that's the thing that's driving those sports right now. And baseball to a large degree too. Yeah.
Baseball is, that's, that's a very good word. Roster maintenance. It's more important to, to make sure everybody gets off their feet than to try to, Twins have done that maintenance has really worked well for the Twins. We only got about 22 guys on the injured list, right? So
yeah.
That's really worked. That maintenance has really worked for that club. So Buxton, plus they lie to us, Buxton, when we sign the worthless Billy Hamilton, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean anything about Buxton. Well, yes, it does.
Seems like it maybe does.
Think he's going to play. No. You're lying.
Seems
lying.
Like maybe.
Stop lying.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to stop lying. So what's wrong? It's America. We lie. That's the way it works.
You and I, though, will bring nothing but truth next Monday when we talk about, I'm sure it's a big weekend next weekend. My goodness. I mean, we've got would be Twins Cleveland next weekend, right? We got Vikings Packers. Lindsay Whalen going into the Hall of Fame on Saturday. I'll have her on the show a little bit later
Louis
this
Hudson,
week.
let's not forget Louis Hudson.
Yes.
Great goal. He's going in too.
So it's big times here. And we will be back next Monday to talk about it all. Patrick, have a great week. We'll see you again in a week.
All right, Michael.